What's going on, guys? Welcome along to another video. Dear sir, I'm Matt, and today we are at Branson's over at the Yamaha side, taking out this Tracer 9 GT Plus for 2023. A, I want to see if the hype is real and if this bike is as good as they say, and B, is this bike worth £2,000 more than the Tracer 9 GT? Well, that's only one way to find out. Let's get on the road. This bike is brand new, and when I say that, I mean it's got 21 miles on the clock, so it's not broken in, so I'm taking it a little bit easy, but also reminding myself that things like the brake pads aren't broken in properly, you know, little things like that. We're going to start off looking at the engine in this thing. This is Yamaha's 890cc cross plane 3, producing 117 brake horsepower and 93, I believe, newton meters of torque. We're going to do a little bit of sound riding to see how it handles, and then we'll get it out onto the back roads, the B roads, open her up and see what the engine can give us. My kind of biggest gripe from the Tracer 9 GT is the vibrations that are coming through the seat area, so hopefully Yamaha have sorted that out, because it was a really good bike, but the vibrations definitely kind of put me off. We've got a quick shifter up and down on this, and it is super smooth. You can barely tell you're shifting. There's hardly any body movement, there's no jerkiness, there's no jolting where the power's dropping and coming back on. So Yamaha, good job. Even though it's got a quick shifter, we do use a clutch every now and then, but the clutch pull on this is really light as well. So whether you want to use the quick shifter or not, the clutch is nice. Feel it in my finger, I feel it in my toes. Slow speed city handling. This thing is pretty easy to maneuver around. It flicks, it really does. Definitely a really good plus for this bike, because the handling is so light. GoPro's not going to show it, but this is quite a steep hill. One thing I wish this bike did have is hill hold control. I've got that on my GSA and I use it all the time. Steep hills, anything that's got a little bit of an incline or a decline, I'll just pull the brake. Got to remember I have got panniers on. Sorry, yeah, GSA, I use the hill hold control all the time, so that would have been nice to see on this. This is obviously one of Yamaha's main touring bikes, so having that capability where you can just pull the brakes, bike holds the brake for you, and you can kind of rest your foot or your hand. It's a nice touch. We'll get into the electronics package in a bit, but before I do, just one thing to note, because I'll probably forget, is with the cruise control on this, you can still go up and down gear whilst it's, the cruise control is set, so it doesn't disengage it. Looking at the price for this bike, it's going to set you back £14,910. Like I said, that's about £2,000 more than the standard Tracer 9 GT. This bike is going to give you 3 different colour options to pick from, and we've got the grey, we've got the grey with black, or the black with grey, whichever way you want to say it, and then the Icon Blue, something like that, Icon Performance, which will be like the blue and silver option. I'm on the black with a bit of grey, and I really like the look of this bike. I think the paintwork kind of really matches it. The styling is just spot on. Kind of whichever colour you go for, you can't go wrong. Like I said, got to remember, new tyres, new brakes. These back roads, always going to have gravel on. There's always going to be tractors and cars coming down it. Just take a little bit easy. It's hard though, and it's a lovely day like this finally. Yesterday was absolutely hideous. Looking at the ergonomics of this bike then, I'm 6'1" and 115 kilos, and it's a really nice, natural, comfortable position. The pegs are nicely situated between my hips and my knees, so there's no strain on my knees at all, which when you're doing long distance touring is definitely something that you need to be mindful of. Handlebars are in a just comfortable reach position at the front. I am fairly upright, so that means there's going to be minimal strain on my wrists, but that may mean that I end up then putting more weight through my bum into the seat. It's one of those days where absolutely every single road I go down there is road closures and people blocking the road, so I'm now and then kind of back into nowhere. I had to check my maps, make sure I'm still going the right direction. That gives me a chance to talk about the seat height. The stock seat height on this bike is 820 to 835 mil. I do have the heated seat, so potentially that may add a little bit, but I'll have a little look, see if I can tell online if the heated seat adds any height. But at the minute, as it is, I say 6'1", I've got both feet flat on the floor and still a bit of a bend in the knee, so actually, even if it has added a little bit, it's still more than acceptable for the taller rider. Shorter riders, 820, you know what, it's not too bad. I've got 2 bars of fuel left. I'm not worried about running out of fuel. We do have an 18 litre fuel tank in this bike, so we're going to get a serious amount of mileage per tank. I mean, that's kind of exactly what you want from a touring style motorcycle. I love the UK roads, love them. With all the added tech on this bike, the weight is 223 kilos. It's not a light bike, but it's not a heavy bike. It's kind of an in the middle bike. But like I said, this thing handles really nicely. You definitely couldn't tell there's that much weight on it. Slow speed, faster roads, this thing just blips around. Has got a great flickability, as I like to call it. So I can't see anyone having any issues with the weight of this motorcycle. Oh. Left or right? I don't know when the sat-nav doesn't talk to me. Anyone else have that on the bikes? Your sat-nav just doesn't tell you where you're going. Let's see. Ah, now we're turning right. Okay. As I've said multiple times, this is a brand new bike, so I'm not gonna labour on about the brakes too much. But we do have a dual 298mm at the front. I mean, that's kind of small. Some of the bigger bikes, or as in like litre bikes, I've got dual 330mm. So 32mm difference is quite a bit. And we've got a single 267mm at the rear. Brakes are okay, they're sharp enough, they're starting to get a bit more bite to them. And then we do have a semi-active electronic suspension. On these back roads, I've had absolutely no dramas. More roads closed. Luckily, I'm turning right. Sometimes the gods just hate you, and they do not want you to get where you want to go. Thank you, sir. You know what, so far, I'm enjoying this bike. Comfortable, easy to ride, easy to handle. It's got enough techie bits on the bike that I like, don't worry. I know we haven't covered them, I know, we'll get there. Chillax. I'm just here trying to get out of these lanes that are big enough for a bicycle. Let's find somewhere to pull over and I'll have a little walk around this bike. Here we go then, managed to pull over. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you around the bike, and I'm going to show you the parts that I can't show you whilst riding, and some of the tech, and then The rest of the tech I will do back on the bike. Starting off at the front of the bike then, we do have LEDs all round, and we have got some nice daytime running lights. Really liking the design. On this bike we do have fitted extra fog lights, so that's them situated down there. And then to activate them, on the left hand side there's that green button all the way under there. As you saw, push the green button once the bike's running, bike button goes green, and then the lights are on. Simple as that. In between your two lights there, we do have this block section here, and that is the adaptive cruise control, so the radar system for the bike. What I'll do is, whilst we're on the bike, I'll explain the radar system a little bit more in depth. The gold front forks from the semi-active suspension adds another little element to the colouring, because we do have obviously the grey, the black, and then a little bit of bronze. So it just adds a nice little bit to the bike. We do have the kind of oversized touring screen on this, and then we have got the extra Yamaha attachment. Me personally, I am finding that part gets in my vision, so I would just take it off and then just have the oversized screen. The screen is adjustable, can be done from inside the cockpit. Brunsons have also fitted a tyre pressuring monitoring system, which is this device here. And the little green light at the top means the front tyre, so that's 38, and then it flicks to the bottom, so the rear's at 45. We do have side stand and centre stand, so if you do go touring, that means you can do any maintenance on the road. Side panniers will come as standard, but the back box is an added purchase. These are the heated seats, so once again that's an added purchase, but I'm enjoying them, nice and comfortable. And it's 22 degrees, so definitely no need for turning them on today. Heated seat and heated grips can all be activated and controlled via the TFT screen. With the side luggage, unfortunately they are kind of side opening, so it does mean if you have any kind of just loose stuff thrown in there, you've got a strong possibility that it's all just going to fall out. You can get Yamaha inserts, but that's obviously then going to kind of minimise the amount of stuff you can carry in there. I do like it when the box is open from the top, because then nothing's going to fall out and then you can just kind of shove the stuff in. But I am a big fan of panniers on the bike. Well, that's all the kit and equipment, electronics I want to show you off the bike. In the comments box below, let me know what you think of this grey black colour. I think it looks really nice. Let's carry on this ride review on the road, and we'll cover off some more of the technology. Don't know what that was. Typically in GoPro fashion, this is now the second time I'm having to record this part of the video. Done it this morning, thought it was all good, went home, extracted the footage and realised GoPro hadn't recorded anything audio wise. Second time this week. I don't know why it does it, but it does. Very frustrating. Anyway, let's look at the electronics then that I haven't covered whilst I was off the bike. Starting off at the front of the bike is obviously that radar system. What happens is when you initiate cruise control is activated on the left hand side of your handlebar. Once you turn it on, you'll get these little bars on the bottom left side of your screen down there, and then when the bike detects there's a car in front of you, they'll put a car on the top of those lines. Each of those lines represents a certain distance from the car in front, so 4 lines means that you will have the maximum distance between the car in front and yourself. If another car pulls in, then the bike will then slow the bike down until again that distance is set to the car in front. You can adjust the distance that the bike will allow between the bike and the car in front using this button on the top left hand side. And you literally just pull that button on the top left and it will jot down, going from 4 bars, 3 bars, 2 and then 1. 1 being the closest that the bike will allow on the adaptive cruise control segment. Hopefully that makes sense. Below that big old screen we do have a USB charging point, which is nice to see, so you can mount your sat nav or your phone or anything and keep it charged. always handy. As I mentioned, you can get full map navigation with the 7-inch screen, but the biggest problem for me is that it is through a subscription to Garmin app, or Garmin Maps I believe. It's kind of annoying that I have to then pay for another subscription for the bike to have full maps. Just give me Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, and just let Google Maps do it. A little bit frustrating. Okay, then let's look at the handlebars on the left hand side. Like I've said, cruise control, and in the adaptive cruise distance on the left you've got your standard high beam, low beam indicators and horn. And the other main thing, the bottom right hand of the left hand cluster, that's going to be your jog dial to move through the TFT screen. Already covered off the fog light green button. Moving over to the right side, as seen when I pulled over, the tyre pressure monitoring system. And then the only real thing that you need to take note on the right hand side is the mode button. That is located on the right, and it's just a single button. We do have 4 different rider modes. We've got rain, street, sport and custom, and you just push that mode button on the right and it will just cycle through, come off the throttle, and it will engage that rider mode. The custom mode, you can, when you're stationary using the jog dial, go into the settings and then change the parameters, i.e. power delivery, slide control, lift control, different points like that. You can adjust them on the setting. Like I said, this quick shifter up and down is buttery smooth. With the TFT screen, we do have 3 different theme screens that you can pick. Using the jog dial, you go onto the theme and you just go push up and down between the 3 and then pick which one you want. The themes is only going to change that center part there, so it's just going to give you a different layout. Don't forget, heated seat, heated grips, all controlled from the TFT as well. Now for wind protection, I can't speak for the standard GT Plus screen because I believe this is the oversized touring style screen, and then I can't talk for what it's just like because I do have the attachment as well. But with this setup, there's a fantastic bubble when you're sat riding this bike. The screen does flare out on the left and the right hand side, which means when you are sat here there's going to be minimal air kind of coming round, and it is nice to see. The screen is adjustable through one-handed adjustment at the front there. It's just a pinch method. I find in the lowest position with this attachment, the top of that attachment is just about in my eye line, so it is kind of off-putting. Lifting it up, I'm now looking through the center part of the attachment. If the attachment wasn't there, then the top of this screen is well below my eye line, kind of in line with my chin area. Hopefully you can tell from the audio though that there is very minimal wind hitting my helmet, which means this bike's going to be perfect for doing any form of touring or long distance riding. Because this bike is comfortable, you've got good wind protection. Cruising on this, i.e. the long distance style, sat at 60-70 miles an hour is going to be easy. It's just going to be effortless, which is kind of exactly what you want from this type of bike. I'm going to put it out there and say, I know I've said it before on my Ducati Multistrada V4S video, that was my best bike for 2023, and now I appreciate that bike to this bike, completely different engines, and 10+ grand from the one I tested and this. So I'm not going to put these 2 bikes in the same category, but what I will say is this bike for me so far is the best bike for 2023 for under £15,000. I'm putting it out there. More than happy for you to tell me I'm wrong. Let me know in the comments box below, which one do you think would beat this bike? The V4 engine in the Multistrada is something completely different, and it does give you kind of more. This engine, it's not the same, so I'm not gonna compare it. Why am I saying this is now the best bike for under 15 grand for 23? It's comfortable, it's light, it just flicks so easily, and the handling is fantastic. It's a great price. The amount of tech you get on it for that price range I think is spot on. It just ticks all the boxes for me. I did ask 2 questions at the start. First one being, is the hype reel for this bike, because there was a lot of hype when Yamaha released it, and I can say yeah, a lot of people were raving about this bike, and I can see why. It is a fantastic bike. You can probably tell the answer already to the second question, and that was, is this bike worth £2,000 more than your standard Tracer 9 GT? Once again, for me personally, yes it is. We've got the semi-active suspension, we've got the adaptive cruise control, we've got a massive screen, it's comfortable, it's got the bags, the handling is sublime, wind protection is fantastic, just all of it as a package just works beautifully. I know one of the other things, or one of the other problems I had with the Tracer 9 GT was the vibrations. When you started getting a bit spirited, very minimal vibrations on this bike. The only time I have felt any form of vibrations was when I was leaving it in a much lower gear than I should have, and getting that revs pretty high in the rev range. That's the only time I've had some only time I've had some vibrations coming through the handlebars. But the rest of the time, if you ride this bike and you change the gears or be in the right gear as you would normally, very minimal vibrations. This engine isn't the most exciting engine, but it still ticks all the boxes you want. You can have the bags on, put it into rain mode if you want, and then just have a nice, comfortable, relaxing ride. Or if you want to have a bit more fun, a bit more spirited, you can take the bags off and you can have fun on this bike. It's not the MT-09 wheelie house bike, but you know what, you don't want that all the time. You don't need that in a touring bike. My only two gripes really with this bike, and they are very minor, one being the fact that I've got to pay a subscription to get the Garmin for the full maps, and two, if you own the bike you'll quickly come to muscle memory, work it out of an issue problem, but the indicator and the jog button are in line with each other, and when I go to turn my indicator on, my thumb comes all the way out, feels the knobbly thing and goes to push it. Problem with that is I'm then pushing the jog dial for the TFT screen. Like I said, muscle memory. After a day of riding it, you'll just remember that the indicators are a little bit closer than all the way over. So I asked myself, would I buy this motorcycle? 100% yes. I would definitely buy the Tracer 9 GT Plus. For a stock exhaust, this bike doesn't sound too bad, you know. It's got kind of that deep sound at the start, and then when you start getting higher up in the rev range, it definitely starts livening up. I'd love to hear the sound of this bike with a aftermarket exhaust. Also, I like the rev counter, the dial that goes up. It's got like a little whooshiness to it. It's hard to explain. You have to come test this bike out to see what I mean. But it doesn't just go up like a normal dial. It's like a little pattern left in its wake. Well, ladies and gents, I'm going to go away and make sure this audio is recorded. And if it has, then I'm going to bid you farewell. Thank you very much for watching. If you have enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a like. More importantly, subscribe to the channel. If you do want to watch my #1 bike so far for 2023, that is above the 25 grand mark, or 20 grand mark should we call it, then watch this video here, Ducati Multistrada V4S. And if not, I'll catch you on the next video, and until then, ride safe.